Okay, so this is just me informally recording my thoughts for the paper for the narrative conference. So far, I've thought that what sparked my interest in it is Berthold saying that he couldn't understand why Mantel was a successful writer and why people called her a page turner, or her books page turners. And I responded to that by saying that Bring Up the Bodies actually is a page turner, even though I'm not sure you could describe any of her other books like that. It really is an incredibly fast read, and so in a way it's very different from the other books. And also, something fascinated me about the way people responded to that book online, because the comments feed to, I think, a Guardian interview were quite extensive. And they were interesting for a load of reasons, such as people being quite derogatory about Mantel's appearance and those comments being moderated, etc. But one of the things that somebody said was that Bring Up the Bodies is like a hyphen between the other two books. And of course, one of those hadn't actually been written yet, so there's this anticipatory writing going on in terms of what the mirror and the light will constitute, etc. But I like the idea of it being a hyphen, a kind of pause, a space, and yet at the same time incredibly speedy, like a kind of intake of breath or something. And so my idea is to use elliptical sense, which I want to reread as a means of kind of unlocking the narrative of the novel and where the novel fits in the narrative of Mantel's fame, perhaps, or the winning of the Booker Prize, etc. And the other thing that I thought of saying is that I wanted to explain that I haven't actually read a great deal of Nancy's work, which is probably an unusual thing to admit when you're on a Nancy panel. But I would like to also qualify this by saying, in the words of a very famous philosopher, that I haven't read very much of Nancy, but what I have read, I've read very carefully. And then I want to follow that on by saying that this is an unusual paper. I'm not going to read a paper. I haven't read a lot by Mantel, by Nancy. I have read a lot by Mantel. But that there are things missing from the paper which highlight the point that this is about things being missing, and that being a characteristic of narrative, and what enables the narrative, but also what already always constitutes the nature of its undoing. So those are my thoughts so far, and I'm going to develop those into an abstract.